Leverage week, Beijing blinks, Schumer slips, and why your grocery bill feels it first. Hook. Imagine waking up to two headlines that shouldn't rhyme but do. China folds on tariffs, and millions of Americans about to miss their food benefits. Different pages, same story, leverage. Who has it, who used it, and who just watched it evaporate on live TV? This week didn't change the talking points, it changed the balance of power. Let's connect the dots. Beijing's backroom panic to Schumer's freefall and map what it means for your wallet, your vote, and the next 6 months of American politics. From ceasefires to supply chains. Trump didn't go to Southeast Asia for souvenir photos. He went to sign paperwork. Cambodia opens 100% of its market to US goods, agrees to a ceasefire with Thailand, and gets reciprocal terms with carve-outs. Malaysia and Vietnam ink deals on rare earths, the minerals that live in your phone, your EV, and the guidance systems that keep our pilots safe. For a decade, China treated rare earths like a hard asset trap door. We step wrong, they pull the lever. But leverage only works if the world believes you'll use it. The second Beijing floated export approvals as a choke point, every capital with a spreadsheet started asking the only question that matters: what's our plan B? New refineries get funded, old mines get reopened. Engineers dust off mothballed flow sheets. The monopoly wasn't geology, it was complacency. Threaten the world and you wake up its procurement departments. So when the 100% tariff cliff neared, China did the math: keep posturing and watch your last lever die, or take the off-ramp and negotiate a framework. They blinked. Markets rallied not because anyone fell in love, but because uncertainty fell out of the forecast. Key point: this wasn't ideology, it was sequencing. Sign alternatives first, then confront the monopolist. That's how leverage is built, not on a podium, but on purchase orders. A shutdown that hits the fridge. While the Asia tour stabilized supply chains, Washington let a funding fight ricochet into the kitchen. Snap the bridge. For 35, 45 million Americans sat on the chopping block, not because dollars vanished, but because clean became a dirty word. A continuing resolution was on the table. House passed it. Republicans signed. Several moderate Democrats signed. The far left bloc in the Senate said no unless taxpayer-funded health care for illegal immigrants rode shotgun. That's not negotiation. That's a hostage note with stationery. And politically, it's a faceplant. You can't brand yourself protector of the vulnerable while threatening the food budget of your own base. Voters noticed. Even outlets that never give Trump a honeymoon admitted the blame split-shifted. Fewer people tagged him as the culprit. More pointed to Senate Democrats. When your coalition starts crossing the aisle to reopen government, it's not a rebellion, it's a rescue mission. One side used leverage to reduce global risk. The other used leverage that backfired on the grocery line. Why these stories are the same story. Leverage rule, has shown, don't bluff a dependency. China treated rare earths like a forever cudgel. The moment they flashed it, the world financed a workaround. Leverage rule hash 2, don't hold what you can't afford to drop. Schumer tried to hold the budget. SNAP, TSA, air control, military pay, those aren't poker chips, they're paychecks. If your leverage hurts people before it hurts your opponents, you don't have leverage, you have liability. Leverage rule hash 3, credibility compounds. Trump's brand runs on delivery, renegotiated deals, visible outcomes, deadlines met. You may hate the style, but markets and swing voters price outcomes. Schumer's brand right now, maneuver first, govern later. Voters price that too. The economics you can feel. When trade uncertainty drops, so do costs. Retailers time rollbacks for maximum optics, sure, but you can't slash prices unless your forward curve cooperates. Freight stabilizes, input steady, hiring plans unfreeze. That's why you see food chains promising 2019-ish price points into holidays. It's not Santa, it's spreadsheets. Meanwhile, shutdown spirals do the opposite. Unpaid workers reduce spending, vendors pause invoices, airports gum up, overtime policies crack. SNAP interruptions are the macro equivalent of yanking a fuse. The money gets spent immediately and locally. Pull it, and small towns feel it first. Net effect. Asia cooled the inflation pressure. Capitol Hill reheated it. Same week, same country. The political math, not the polling graphs. Moderate Dems jump ship. When 3 cross over in week 4, the Dem has hairline fractures. Add a bad weekend of delays, and more follow. Approval asymmetry. In a blame game round 2, the public judges behavior, not branding. One side is voting open repeatedly. The other is vetoing conditions a majority didn't run on. Narrative convergence. Results versus ritual is a cleaner message than process versus principle. Voters punish ritual when fridges go empty. The compounding lesson, power versus credibility. Power is the office you hold. Credibility is the promise you keep. Power lets you set the agenda. Credibility lets you move it. China had power over minerals. It lost credibility by threatening the plug. Schumer has power over the calendar. He's burning credibility by prioritizing an ideological rider over a funding lifeline. Trump's team is stacking credibility by sequencing secure alternates, then force the showdown, pass the clean bill, then fight the policy fight separately. If you remember one line, leverage lives where promises meet proof. What happens next? A practical map. Scenario A, moderates force a clean reopen. SNAP resumes before benefits lapse. Air travel normalizes within a week. The filibuster talk cools but doesn't disappear. Dem leadership absorbs a public hit. Committee chairs start whispering about sequencing fights, not bundling them. Scenario B, standoff continues into mid-November. Military pay becomes the political tripwire. More moderate Dems defect. Leadership vote rumors leak. Pressure to carve healthcare riders into a separate bill becomes irresistible. Markets hold if Asia frameworks advance. Consumer sentiment sours on shutdown headlines. Scenario C, filibuster limited carve-out. Narrow time box rules change for funding only. Both parties discover they like speed until the minority remembers why friction exists. Expect burst of legislation followed by buyer's remorse. What it means for you, no spin. Just impact. Groceries and goods. If the Asia deals stick, retail prices on tradables keep easing through Q1. If shutdown drags, services side costs, travel, childcare, local fees worsen in the near term. Jobs and pay. Stability begets investment. Expect hiring plans to firm up in logistics, advanced manufacturing, and energy-adjacent sectors as supply chains diversify away from China. Travel TSA divided by ATC stress rises non-linearly after week 4. One bad weather system plus staffing gaps equals cascading delays. Local economies, SNAP interruptions hit small retailers hardest. Even a 2-3 week lapse dents Q4 receipts on Main Street. The week the game board moved, this is the week rare earths stopped being a cudgel and became a commodity again. It's also the week a shutdown stopped being theater and started being dinner. One side read the board, stored leverage, and traded it for outcomes. The other mistook posturing for power and lit their own coalition on fire. That contrast is more persuasive than any ad buy and more durable than any tweet. But close your M, don't cheer for teams. Score the plays. Did the deal reduce your risk and your bill? Did the tactic feed people or feed talking points? If the rule you want today is used against you tomorrow, do you still want it? If you want more breakdowns that follow the money and the mechanics, not the noise, stick around. Drop in the comments where you land on the leverage line. Sequencing first open government, separate the fights, or bundling as leverage attached priorities. Now or never, actually read them. Hit like if this helped you. See how 2 unrelated stories became one. Subscribe if you want the next chapter. What a rare earth rebuild looks like in practice. How long snap lapses take to fix once passed. And what to watch in the Senate when moderates start counting votes out loud. Until then, remember, once you see how the pieces really move, you can't unsee it. And that's when you start making better calls for your family, your business, and your ballot.